about the capacity of our military under Barack Milhouse, Benito, whatever, by Rowan Scarborough in the Washington Times yesterday. The United States military's ability to fight major overseas war in doubt. As massive as the federal government has gotten under Barack Obama, as massive as the spending increases are each and every budget and year, as massive as the annual deficit and the debt and the unfunded liabilities are, we're barely funding our military up to levels that are needed. The amount of redistribution of wealth, the amount of social engineering, the amount of subsidizing the left, the amount of waste is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the military's paying the price. There have been several weeks of testimony, and it showed next year's $524 billion defense budget. Many Army brigades and Air Force squadrons are less ready. The Marine Corps lacks sufficient aircraft to fully train pilots. The Army and Marine Corps can wage small wars, but doubt they can meet the demands of a major conflict against, say, China or even Russia in a time frame called for in official military strategy. The chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Mac Thornberry, he said concerns are growing louder and more frequent about the real-life consequences of cuts to personnel, training equipment, other military resources, as the security situation around the world becomes more precarious by the day. He said that the Marine Corps Major or Class A accident rate has shot up from an average of 2.15 per 100,000 flying hours to almost 4. He said, we track this very closely, and the simple fact is that we don't have enough airplanes to meet the training requirements for the entire force. That was General Neller, actually, Marine Commandant. He said the force that's deployed is trained and ready. Our ability to meet other regional requirements for major contingency plans, we would be able to do that, but we would probably not be able to do it within the time frame that current plans call for us to arrive to participate in that conflict. General Mark Milley, Army Chief of Staff, said rotary pilots need a minimum of 14 hours flying a month to stay sharp, but are getting only 10 hours. Meanwhile, the Army's major accident rates are increasing too. The general said the force, cut from more than 490,000 to a planned 450,000, is sufficient for counterterrorism missions in Afghanistan and Iraq, but the overriding strategy of being able to fight a major overseas war is in doubt. He said if that were to happen, then I have great concerns in terms of readiness of our force, the Army forces, to be able to deal with that in a timely manner. I think the cost, both in terms of time and casualties, and the ability to accomplish military objectives, would be very significant. How many of you heard about this testimony? Have you heard about it on network news or cable news or satellite news? I haven't been listening to talk radio because, I'm doing Levin TV and I do my own show. Has anybody addressed this? As for the Navy, McCain, he said the Navy's fleet of 272 ships, ladies and gentlemen. When Ronald Reagan left office, we had over 600. Too small to address critical security challenges, and that Navy aircraft carriers, the United States show force around the world, are no longer constantly in the Persian Gulf region because of needed maintenance. The Marines have a requirement for 38 amphibious ships. They only have 30. And marine aviation is in crisis. Pilots are not flying. Why the crunch? Should I be discussing something else today? Other than the Islamo-Nazi threat, the national security threat, how our military is being destroyed from within? As I told you before, the Russians, the Chinese, the Islamo-Nazis, they love Obama. They love his secretaries of defense. They love his secretaries of state. They love these guys. Because they're doing to the United States military what they can't. In other words, our elected leadership and appointed leadership with quotes around it, are doing more to destroy and eviscerate the United States military than any enemy on the face of the earth. Despite the rising problems with the red Chinese bastards, that's right, in the South China Sea with the fake islands, militarizing it. Mark, why do we care about the South China Sea? That's so old school. That's 50 years ago. Why? Look on a map. That's why. All the isolationist fools in the Democrat and Republican parties. All of a sudden, they figured out something nobody else knew. Hey, we can save money. Hey, we're being ripped off. Are you out of your minds? We're ceding territory. We're ceding naval lanes to the enemy. Just walking away from them. Unilaterally. And you know what it takes to get them back? Tens of thousands of American lives, if not more. The 2011 Budget Control Act. Remember that Budget Control Act? Oh, the Wall Street Journal editorial page was thrilled with it. Remember? Everybody was so happy. Here we have bipartisan. Oh, it's so cool. Finally, we have a budget. Yes, we have a budget. It mandated across-the-board cuts. That is, if you cut 1 penny from food stamps, you have to cut 1 penny from the Marine Corps. How buffoonish and asinine is that? Well, that's what they did. You want to know why they did that, folks? You want to know why the Republicans participated in this? Oh, because you can't shut down the government. Holy smokes, you shut down the government, look what's going to happen. Yeah, look what's going to happen. We're eviscerating the United States military while the welfare side of domestic spending is bloated and insatiable, more ubiquitous than ever before. That's what happens when you surrender the power of the purse. It directly affects national security, both here and abroad. I'll be right back.